before the Daniel Plan, I had grown up in a home that was not particularly healthy. We weren't very active, and as I grew up and became an adult, I did get more interested in health and in fitness and eating right.
I just felt awful. I wasn't sleeping, and I just thought, I don't really want to end my life this way.
I think it was all in my mindset. I allowed myself to focus on the negative and not what could be.
There's no doubt you feel different. In fact, you can't imagine how bad you felt until you start feeling good.
I've always gotten to points where I'm tired of it, and then I'll get on a strict diet, I'll lose some. So it's more of this for me.
Once I finally gave myself permission to have setbacks, it made it so much easier for me.
When my focus is right, it creates healthy habits where I can progress, eat healthy, work out, but it affects other parts of my life too.
The Daniel Plan taught me to be graceful with myself. It taught me that the motivation for health and for fitness is far beyond my vanity. It's far beyond what I look like.
Before I knew it, I looked back and months had gone by and I thought, wow, okay, not giving up on that one setback really made a difference for me, and it all added up.
Welcome to the Daniel Plan series on Focus, Renewing Your Mind. My name is Dee Eastman, and I have the privilege of being your host. In this series, we'll be looking at how we can stay on track with God's plan for our lives. We'll talk about how to overcome stress, negative thought patterns, and setbacks. I'm really thrilled to introduce you to our teacher, Dr. Daniel Amen. He's a psychiatrist, founder of the Amen Clinics, and an internationally recognized expert in brain health. Dr. Amen believes that brain health is central to all health and success. He says when your brain works right, you work right. And when your brain is troubled, you are much more likely to have trouble in your life as well. Your brain is the most expensive real estate in your body. Even though it's only 2% of your body's weight, it uses 20 to 30% of your calories and 20% of your body's oxygen and blood flow. That's because it does so much important work. In this session, we'll learn how the lifestyle choices we make have a huge impact on brain health. So let's welcome Dr. Daniel Amen and hear what he has to share with us about how to have better brains and better lives. Dr. Amen, it's fantastic to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
I can't wait to dig into this series on focus. And when I look at the Daniel Plan, the Focus Essential has been very unique to our plan. I'd love to hear your input on why it's vital and important.
Well, it really is what makes the Daniel Plan unique. So faith, which is why do you care, food, fitness, it just makes such great sense. But what's really unique is it's the 3 pounds between your ears that really drives all behavior. And
That's good.
Focus is about brain health, but also getting your thoughts right. And what I've discovered at the Amen Clinics where I work is when your brain works right, you work right. But when your brain is troubled for whatever reason, you have trouble in your life and you can't stick with the program. And so the Focus Essential is really the stickiness. It's the glue that holds everything together.
Great, we need the stickiness. We need the glue to make it work because we have the bad days, the uphill battles that come our way sometimes. And to be able to have that glue, the momentum, the motivation, and the tools to have that 3-pound gorilla, did you say, between our brain working for us is fantastic. I've heard you talk about 3 key areas to really maximize brain health. I'd love you to kind of roll through those 3 things that we can really focus on.
So I call it the short course on brain health. I think one of my biggest gifts is taking really complicated things and making them really easy to understand. And it's based on a lot of experience. So I want people to know it's not based on 50 people that we've seen at Amen Clinics. We've been doing this for 25 years. We have a database of 100,000 brain scans related to behavior on people from 111 countries. And we've just learned so many important things. And it starts with brain envy, that you have to care about your brain. Nobody cares about their brain. We let little kids hit soccer balls with their head, play tackle football, and nobody's thinking about the potential damage it can do to their brain. But if you realize your brain's involved in everything you do, how you think, how you feel, how you act, how you get along with other people. After looking at all these scans, it's really clear to me your brain is the organ of judgment, personality, character, and every single decision that you make. And when your brain works right, you work right. But when your brain is troubled for whatever reason, you had a head injury, you're not eating right, you're overweight, people are sadder, sicker, poorer, less successful. And so it starts by caring about your brain. And that's why I call it brain envy. And you know, as a psychiatrist, and people remember Freud, I'm like, he was wrong. He was about 2.5 feet too low in the body. It's brain envy. When you care about it and know how to optimize it, everything in your life is better.
Great. Well, we all want that. We all want to know how to optimize our brain and how to move forward. Tell us a couple things that we should really be staying away from that do get in the way or interfere with
Right.
optimizing our brain.
So I horrified myself a couple of years ago when I realized I could summarize all my work in 3 words. Care, so that's brain envy. Stop doing anything that hurts it. Do the right things. Care, stop, do.
Great.
And so we talked about brain envy, that's caring. Stop. Well, what should I stop? Drugs and alcohol? No question they're damaging to the brain. Now that doesn't take a rocket scientist. Brain injuries. Actually, Amen Clinics did the world's largest study on active and retired NFL players, and playing football is just bad, right? You want to protect your brain. Your brain is soft, your skull is really hard. Hitting it repeatedly is a bad idea. But some of the things actually will surprise you. There are 200 studies now that say as your weight goes up, the actual physical size and function of your brain goes down,
wow,
which should scare the fat off anyone. What we've also learned is high blood sugar causes brain atrophy, or it makes your brain smaller. So diabetes, but also heart disease, hypertension, sleep apnea, where people snore loudly, stop breathing, they're tired during the day, doubles the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Also, untreated depression, untreated ADD are associated with more cognitive impairment. And what will really blow people's minds is negative thinking. If you think in negative terms, it actually drops the function of the front part of your brain so that you just don't make good decisions. So getting your thoughts right can be really critical. And this one thing that the Daniel Plan addresses so well is inflammation. So when your body becomes inflamed because you're eating pro-inflammatory foods, like a lot of omega-6 fatty acids, think corn and soy, sugar, things that quickly turn to sugar, it devastates your brain because inflammation is associated with depression and dementia.
Wow. I just want to say, you just shared an amazing array of things we need to stay away from. And I don't think I caught all of them, but I'd like to kind of do a little summary to roll back. You talked about the effect of sleep apnea, of untreated depression, of inflammation in our body by eating the omega-6s that aren't good for us. You also talked about sugar. I think that would be surprising to most people to think that high blood sugar or untreated, even pre-diabetes that we often don't detect in our body. So tell us how that fluctuation happens and how that is damaging.
Well, a lot of people don't know, one, sugar is addictive and actually more addictive than cocaine. Isn't that interesting? But it's pro-inflammatory in your body. And we know how diabetes damages blood vessels. Now, why does the brain care about blood vessels? Because your brain gets 20% of the blood flow in your body. So even though your brain's only 2% of your body's weight, uses 20 to 30% of the calories you consume and 20% of the blood flow. So anything that damages blood vessels damages your brain. And high blood sugar, even high normal blood sugar, is associated with blood vessels becoming brittle and then starting to break. I mean, we know the consequences of diabetes are disastrous, but even pre-diabetes, what we're finding, high normal blood sugar is associated with brain atrophy. And you just don't want a smaller brain. And with hypertension, it's the same thing. Even pre-hypertension is associated with brain atrophy. And I always say, you know, when it comes to the brain, it's the only organ in the body, when it comes to the brain, size matters.
Okay, I just want you to know that I think I already care about my brain. I've known you for all these years, and I'm totally a champion of everything that you teach, but it takes my motivation up just hearing you talk again today. The whole fact of caring about our brain, because it has such a domino effect, a ripple effect of either positive or negative in our life. So thank you for that short course on the negative. If we're looking at the positive of ways we can build our brain health, speak to that.
Well, it's the Daniel Plan. I mean, I just love that, because when you know why you care, when your motivation is clear on your health, you just do better. And we like to say, know better, do better.
Right.
Food. Oh my goodness, food is medicine or food is poison. If your brain is the most active metabolic organ in your body, then you have to eat right to think right. And the Daniel Plan food plan is awesome. It's amazing. It's high quality protein, high quality fat, lots of vegetables, because vegetables are in fact medicine, but they're medicine for your brain. And why fitness? I mean, why should we care? Because it's all about blood flow, right? If you're getting your body moving, you're getting your blood vessels healthy, that's supplying great blood flow and nutrients to your brain, and then it takes away toxic waste. Simple supplements can be really helpful. Multiple vitamin, fish oil. And then we say know your important numbers. If your vitamin D level's low, your brain's not going to work right. It's associated with depression and dementia. So getting it measured, getting it optimized, getting some sun is just critical. Now, back to exercise for a second. It's coordination exercises. When you do things like dance and table tennis, juggling, that is really awesome for connecting new pathways in the brain.
Juggling?
Juggling. And you and I juggle so many things
We do juggle
together.
so many things.
And then
Right.
gratitude. I mean, gratitude is just so interesting, because people, where you bring your attention determines how you feel. And there's studies showing if you just write down 3 things you're grateful for every day, it increases your sense of happiness. We actually studied meditation, and we found simple breathing forms of meditation actually activated the front part of the brain. Now, why would you care about the front part of your brain? Because it's the most human, thoughtful part of your brain. 30% of the human brain, 11% of the chimpanzee brain. And what also is amazing, awesome, incredible for your brain is hanging out with Daniel Plan people. Why? Because there's actually great studies on longevity. How long you live depends on the health of the people that you spend time with. So if you really want your brain right, what I often tell people is find the healthiest person you can stand and then spend as much time around him or her as possible.
Well, we just had a treat yesterday. We had, actually for the last 2 days, we had about 40 Daniel Plan participants come through and talk about their stories that the Daniel Plan had on how it had impacted their life. And it was amazing. And I think what you just said there about that concept of community, they have been doing all the essential elements, but it was really that secret sauce of the community, of spending time with the healthiest person, and it rubbing off. You saw people doing a triathlon ministry together and running together and doing a small group Bible study together. And one woman had brought the Daniel Plan to her office, and they were all doing the 40-day meal plan together, and one person brought lunch every day. So it means once a month you're bringing lunch for everyone and 2 snacks. But how fantastic to be doing it with 15 of your coworkers. The boss was so impressed, he brought in a fitness instructor on Fridays, and then they all do a group hike on Sunday. Like, boy, talk about keeping the motivation for your brain health, for moving forward with your food, your fitness, your focus. All of it happens better in community. So I love that aspect.
So I want to tell you what I think is one of the big ahas for me,
Tell me
being
your big
involved
aha, Dr.
in the
Amen.
Daniel Plan. And Dee and I actually talked on the phone every week for a year.
Yes.
And there was this one time where we got the statistics on who signed up for the Daniel Plan. And it was 80% women. And you remember I became like uncorked. I actually remember where I was. I was in the Minneapolis airport and I'm on the phone and I'm like, no way, I hate that. You know, what's the matter with my gender? And I like went off and talked to the men's pastor at Saddleback and he said he'd get back to me. But what I realized is that when Mama got this, her husband got it, her babies got it. Then she brought it to work. And it really became this idea of get this information, give it away. Because it is in the act of giving. When you give away this information, what you're really doing is creating your own support group, making it more likely that you're going to stay on this program forever. And that's the secret sauce of the Daniel Plan. I mean, it's really smart information. We're all really proud of the information. But what it is, and that's a brain thing, right? I get it. I learn it, then I give it away because connection's totally about the brain. I'm creating my own support group, making it more likely I'll stay on it forever.
Wow, it's awesome. Dr. Amen, you've talked about Alzheimer's disease and how it is wreaking havoc throughout our nation. And it's already wreaking havoc now, but let alone in the next 25 years, it's expected to triple without a cure in sight. Can you speak to how the Daniel Plan can help address that?
Well, I mean, Alzheimer's is a disaster, right? 5 million people have it in the US. They think it's going to go to 15 million, and there's no cure. And the reason there's no cure is it actually starts in your brain 30 to 50 years before you have any symptoms.
Oh, wow.
So if someone is first diagnosed when they're 60, it actually means their brain was starting to have negative changes in their 20s.
Wow.
And so all of you who are waiting until your memory goes to get healthy, you really might want to rethink that. And I wrote a book before called Preventing Alzheimer's. And how you prevent Alzheimer's disease is you prevent all of the illnesses that are associated with it. And the Daniel Plan directly goes after obesity, heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, depression, sleep apnea, and all of those things, the testimonials we've heard, and that you'll hear as part of this series, is people decrease their medication, their mood is better, their anxiety is less, their weight is better. And what we're just so excited about, these 5 essentials directly attack aging and Alzheimer's disease. I mean, how exciting is that when you think of it? There's a brand new study out of UCLA where they actually took 10 people who had mild cognitive impairment, which means you're on your way to Alzheimer's disease, or Alzheimer's disease. They put them on a program very similar to our program, and over the next 6 months, 8 of them showed improvement. Think about that. People who had Alzheimer's disease, when you do the right thing, 80% of them showed improvement. I'm just so excited about the possibility that this program, and it's not a 40-day program, right? Or it's not a 10-day program. This is a program for you to do for the rest of your life, because your health and your ability to serve God, because that really is a brain function, is dependent on your habits.
Okay, when you talk about 8 people significantly changed with the UCLA study out of 10, how
That's
crazy
like so
is that?
excited.
Like, lifestyle approaches can make that much difference. They went on a lifestyle program for 6 months, and it wasn't that they just prevented a disease, they were actually able to reverse the condition of Alzheimer's. And so this truth about the way the Daniel Plan can work out and altering these lifestyle changes early on has significant ramifications for how we play out our life.
It's huge. And one of the things we've learned at Amen Clinics is you are not stuck with the brain you have. You can make it better, and we can prove it. We did the big NFL study. And I mean, as you can imagine, their brains were a disaster. But 80% of our players showed improvement in as little as 2 months, and it was mostly lifestyle and supplement interventions.
That's crazy,
and
crazy
the
motivating.
information in this program, in the Daniel Plan, is solid. It's scientific, and it's tested, as we tested it at Saddleback Church.
Right. Okay, now speaking kind of along the same line, you have also given me another statistic that 51% of all Americans will incur a challenge with a psychiatric disorder sometime within their lifetime.
Right, it's almost more normal.
It's almost more normal to
have a
struggle
problem
in
than
some area
not
than
to
not.
have a problem.
And so I think just knowing that takes some of the shame away when we hit a wall in our life, it's just part of kind of the human nature that challenges come and they can be very taxing on our body. Can you speak to knowing that it's such a significant area of struggle?
So I have a great story.
Great.
And so when I lecture, I often say normal is a myth. It is a setting on a dryer or a city in Illinois. I actually got to go to Normal, Illinois and give a lecture, and it was fun for me because I got to go on the Normal radio station. I visited the Normal grocery store. I actually got to meet normal women, which for me, being from California, that wasn't common.
Hey.
But I was giving a lecture in Baton Rouge for one of my PBS stations, and an African-American woman comes up to me and she starts to cry. And it happens to me a lot, and I just stand there. And when she stopped crying, she said, "My son has paranoid schizophrenia, which is an awful psychiatric illness." And he wouldn't take his medicine because what he kept saying is, "I just want to be normal." And then, by random chance, if you believe in random chance, he saw me on public television. I told the normal thing, and he started taking his medicine. He said, "Well, I am normal. Normal people have problems, but if I have a condition that needs medicine," and here at the Daniel Plan, we're not opposed to medicine. We're sort of opposed to the indiscriminate use of medicine, right? Try lifestyle things first. But he took his medicine and he was so much better. And the fact was, he was normal, right? Normal people have problems. It's the smart ones that when they have problems, they get help for it.
That's all we want. We want to be able to get help through lifestyle approaches, through being in community, through integrating these 5 essential elements into our life.
And medicine is important,
right.
But Hippocrates, like 2,500 years ago, said first do no harm. And in fact, the Daniel Plan first does no harm, and we've seen it help improve mood, help improve anxiety disorders, help improve focus, help improve sleep, help improve cognitive impairment. And, I think it's why you and I for so long have been so excited about getting people to do the program.
It's true, because I think being in ministry for as long as I have, and my own life experience as well, is that life can be challenging and those things can really add up. You have talked about, I think 23% of women between the ages of 40 and 60 are either on an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety. And I think I'd like you to address depression and anxiety directly, because so many, even broader than that, struggle. And what are the specific things that we can do in our life to address that head on?
It's just crazy. I mean, when you think of it, nearly a quarter of women between 40 and 60 are taking medicine for depression. It's nuts. And one of the reasons is most people don't know birth control pills actually drop serotonin in your body. And so serotonin is sort of the don't worry, be happy, feel-good chemical. And then progesterone, one of the really important female hormones, drops about 10 years before people go into menopause, and all of a sudden they're anxious and can't sleep, they're drinking more, and they just don't know if they get their progesterone level checked and optimized, they will feel so much better.
Wow.
But ADD, anxiety, depression, they're real. They ruin people's lives. But the first thing to do is not just go jump on medication. The first thing to do is get your life right. Faith, food, fitness, focus, and friends can make a radical difference. But if you're still suffering with chronic sadness, with crying for no reason, with panic attacks, it's really important to see someone and get the help that you need, because you're normal.
Well, thank you. I think it just makes us all feel like we're in this together, that there's plenty of support, whether it's through the 5 essential elements, getting additional medical support when needed, but ultimately that there's solution to some of the areas that have caused us maybe the most suffering in our life, and that there's ways to get through it.
Well, and unfortunately in the church, the church really hasn't done a good job when it comes to mental health. Your brain can have problems just like your heart can have problems or your liver can have problems, and a lot of people don't recognize that. So they feel great shame if they suffer from ADD, anxiety, or depression. And what I'm so excited about, the Daniel Plan really addresses mental health, and it's now a major initiative at Saddleback Church.
Yes,
the
from
mental
Ricky
health
Kay,
initiative started by Pastor Warren and his wife Kay Warren, and I'm so excited to bring this message to other churches. When your brain works right, you work right, and when your brain is troubled for whatever reason, you have trouble in your life.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Amen. That was an amazing launch to our series on focus. I love that we can not only prevent illness, but we can actually reverse conditions in our life based on all of your input on brain health. We look forward to the rest of the sessions with you coming up. Thank you so much. Have a great time with your group today as you dive in on brain health.